One thing I want to know, right, is why did you decide to move to Brighton? Because I want to know this.
As a Brighton resident.
Well, I want to know this as someone who was born and raised in Brighton, and like, you know, I
didn't
grew
know
up.
that. That's cool.
Yeah. So, you know, I still technically live in Brighton
Second
when
flex.
He said it's third
We
or
need to
fourth.
get more in.
But yeah, like I remember when Brighton was a town. It wasn't even a city. It was a town. And now seeing, like growing up and now seeing, you know, big YouTubers coming there and like it's the cool city, it's the cool hip city. Like I want to know, like you personally, since you being such a big presence there in terms of like content creators who have moved to Brighton, what made you decide to do so?
I think because Felix lived there for a long time and I had heard really nice things from him. And then like Alfie and those guys were there. And there was a couple of other like big
A lot of them were there.
Right,
YouTubers were there. And I didn't really get it. When I went there, I realized, oh, it's like a mini LA. Now I kind of get it.
Right.
It's sort of like structure, but smaller.
Yeah.
And I went there to visit him for the first time over like a weekend in October, like years and years ago. And then I just fell in love with it immediately. Because I'd been thinking about moving already. And I was like, LA's a bit too far. It's a bit too crazy.
Yeah.
You have to get visas and everything. And I was like, I kind of maybe London. And then London is just a fucking nightmare. The traffic's awful. There's too many people here. It's just it was a bit too busy for someone who grew up in a tiny town. And then when I went to Brighton, I was like, this is lovely. This is like small. The beach is there if we wanted.
man.
Friends are there.
Feeling so prideful right now, man. I'm feeling so prideful. I'm like, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
It was just, and the people were just so nice, and like there was like a really strong like LGBTQ community there, and everybody was just so like progressive and nice. The vegan community was huge there.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is perfect. Why would I live anywhere else? And
Yeah.
just walking around town was a very walkable city, and it was just really fun to do.
But you don't get like bombarded if you're like walking around town?
No,
Really?
Oh, wow. Okay.
everyone's pretty chill in Brighton.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, people come up and ask for pictures and stuff, but if you say no, they're like, yeah, okay, have a nice day.
Yeah, because it was really weird for me because obviously now that I came back from, you know, living in Japan for 2 years and we started this podcast, and before that I like didn't show my face on camera, and like for the first time I started to get recognized in this home city that I like grew up in.
Yeah.
So like I would have thought that you would have gotten recognized a lot, or it would have been like a daily occurrence. So
Yeah, I think initially when I moved, it probably was, but then now people know you're there. They kind of just
right.
Like there's
admire
no
from a
sense of
distance.
urgency, right?
Right.
Yeah. Some people still have the like, you look familiar, but then they don't really go any further than that. Yeah. I guess like different sensibility as well.
Yeah.
Like we were saying
Yeah.
Europe versus America.
Yeah.
People here aren't as starstruck.
Yeah.
I don't think.
See, guys, Brighton's a cool city. Come visit Brighton. It's an amazing city.
No, don't. You'll ruin it. It's nice. I like it.
Don't make it to VidCon.
Yeah. We thought about that for a while as well. Like maybe we'll move to LA still, and Brighton's just nice. Every time we come back, it's like, man, we have a nice house. We live in a nice part of town.
Yeah.
The people are cool. The restaurants are really nice.
Yeah, like LA just seems intense, you know, from my experience with it.
It's too city, I feel. And especially like it's definitely the culture behind it is definitely, you know, I feel run by this like, you know, stardom culture.
It's a big meat
around
grinder.
It.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Doesn't really, because I said it before that when I went on tour, you get a good sense of like life in different pockets of the world.
Yeah.
And then like going around different states, I was like, oh, this is kind of like that state, but you guys do this instead, and you kind of get a feel for the culture a bit. Everything still felt like quintessentially America.
Yeah.
But then LA is just a different beast. Like it feels like we would go down the streets and like walk around, and you can get a sense for the place, like who's walking around and who lives there, and like they're just a slice of life.
Yeah.
Right.
But LA is so hard to find that with.
Yeah.
Anywhere you walk in it, which is very few places, it feels like everyone's just there to work.
Yeah.
And no one like lives there.
Yeah, like every time I meet like someone in LA, you just get used to people introducing themselves, then saying what they do immediately.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
normally that's like a few layers down in the conversation, but in LA it feels like, okay, I'm this person. By the way, I also do this. I'm working on this, and that's just like that was just like very forward for me. Sorry.
Yeah.
Working on a screenplay.
Yeah, working on
I got
screenplay.
propositioned one in an Uber
Oh,
in LA. And then on the same trip, we heard a guy walking down the street and it's like, I just don't think they're going to go for that screenplay. Maybe if we pitch them this other one. I was like, no fucking way people talk like this. I was like, are we in a movie? They walk on set.
Yeah, you're in like the traffic and there's someone like practicing their lines in like the car next to you or something.
Exactly, yeah.
Because you hear horror stories of people who move there and then like change and become Hollywood. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I think it's impossible not to. That was another thing. I was kind of afraid to move there in case I did.
Become this monster.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You just because I'm a sponge, I'll just take in what's around me, and I'm like, if I'm surrounded by that all the time, that's all you know, and
Yeah.
it's very disconnected from the rest of the world. I feel like when we come back here and we live here, it's like people don't talk the same. They're not talking about stocks all the time. Like investing in houses.
Gonna have to scrap the next topic then.
So NFT.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think that's like another big reason why like I probably could never see myself living in a place like that, because it's like, yeah, again, like I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, who turns into that, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I love all the people. I love all my friends that live in LA.
For
Like,
sure,
they're all
yeah.
amazing people, but you know, at the same time, yeah, it is kind of like another world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't feel real.
I mean, I have so many friends there, and so many of them just complain about LA all the time. Like they don't even want to be there.
Yeah.
But
They can't leave.
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to get out.
Well,
I feel.
it's the best place for this type of work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
I'm
is.
never more productive than when I
Yeah.
go to LA.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
true.
Sure.
There's always something that you could be working
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Infinite connections, right?
I feel like if you want to network, then you know LA is the place to be.
Yeah.
But at what cost?
Is there no part of you that ever wanted to try living in Korea for a bit?
I don't think so. I think it's too much of a culture shift
Yeah,
for me.
that makes sense.
And I'm a very social person, and I feel like I would not integrate as much as I would want to.
Right.
I feel like I would be very scared and nervous to like speak Korean to people, and I would never go out and like join like a book club or go meet people at like an event or anything.
Right,
like that.
right.
True.
Would
very
you?
scary.
Would you ever? Are you planning to? I guess like stay in like UK and Ireland? Then do you see yourself like sticking around this
I think
kind of
so,
area?
yeah. I think
Okay.
it's nice enough. I think if we've carved out like a nice niche
Yeah.
like place for us here, and
Yeah.
I think again it keeps me very like grounded and keeps me like very in touch with the world.
Yeah.
And like walking around here and in Brighton, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm actually like a part of the bigger picture in
Yeah.
a weird way.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
It doesn't feel like a bubble like everywhere else. But I've done LA for like 3 months at one point, and it was really fun. I had a lot of friends there, and like every night was good to hang out with. And
Yeah.
so many good restaurants in LA.
Yeah,
sure.
That is one thing that every time I go back to LA, I'm looking forward to the restaurant and foods.
It's like the only place outside of Korea that has good Korean barbecue.
Yeah.
Barbecue's so good.
Korean barbecue is really good.
Yeah, I'm so excited for that. Like, because we're going to LA actually in about like 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Recording, yeah.
Yeah, from the time of this recording. And the first place I always want to hit
Korean
up is the
barbecue.
Korean barbecue.
Of course.
Yeah.
All you can eat meat. It's just insane.
Yeah.
It's just, you get it in Japan. It's like, yeah, it's all you can eat. Maybe if you're lucky and we're nice,
Yeah.
but probably
Well,
not.
Korean barbecue, I feel, is very different to like yakiniku, right?
Yeah,
Like
it
Japanese
is.
barbecue.
Yakiniku is really
Yeah, it is.
They're both amazing, but it's like it's definitely a different vibe.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
Do you
sure.
have any favorite Korean dishes or just any favorite like food in general?
I mean, I'm a sucker for just a good bibimbap.
Oh
Yeah.
God,
But like
yeah.
the proper Korean one, like the stone bowl.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
still crackling as it comes out.
Yeah.
It's just really good, and it's nice and spicy and warm, and like it's good winter food. But there's also another one called, I think it's solongtang, which is like, it's like a ox bone broth,
Yeah, I've had that once.
and
It's
very tasty.
it's tasty and it just like it cleans the soul. That's
Yeah.
what it feels like. I remember one time like I was like one of the most hungover I've ever been in Korea.
Yeah.
Like felt awful and had like the ox bone soup, and it just felt like my body was just like so refreshed afterwards. I don't know what you guys put in there, but like it's like the ancient herbal like the ancient herbal medicine that they like
Yeah.
that everyone talks about. That's what it
Using
felt
this
like.
for 1,000 years.
yeah, right.
Just mix it in.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like a mandu jjigae, which is like a dumpling stew as well.
Okay.
Just any of those like, it's like stuff that I wouldn't get here really, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's fucking because it's so good.
I mean, it's probably a lot of stuff that you can't really get here, right?
Yeah.
Like, at least not proper.
Yeah, and I still stand by the Korean food is my favorite food in the world.
I love Korean fried chicken.
I
it's
love
amazing.
Yeah.
Korean fried chicken is also fucking incredible.
People don't realize that Koreans have perfected fried chicken.
It's the best.
Yeah,
They have the best. fried
I
chicken.
think Koreans have the best fried chicken in the world.
Yeah.
To be fair, I don't think I've ever heard or met anyone who has said that they don't like Korean food. So
Yeah.
it's pretty difficult.
The British haven't had it. That's a lot of the
Yeah,
time.
well, they haven't had the good one.
Yeah.
Because I guess like Korean food wasn't as popular, I guess like 10 years ago or something. Because I remember like I'd never even tried Korean food until around like 10 years ago. And then because it was all like, you see like Indian food or like Japanese food or Chinese food. And like I never got a chance to try Korean cuisine. And then remember the first time trying it, I was like, why is this not more popular?
Yeah.
You know? Why is this not more widespread?
Yeah, K-pop are doing a lot of the heavy lifting on that front,
Yes.
spreading it to the world, which is great. Because now we have like a good Korean restaurant in Brighton called Kogi, which is just meat.
Yeah.
But it does like legit Korean food.
Yeah.
Cool.
So good.
I gotta check it out. I think that's new. Is it new since or has it been around for a while?
I think it was right before pandemic, and I'm so happy that pandemic didn't kill it.
Okay.
Because I was very worried. I was like, you haven't been open long enough to like have a float of cash
yeah.
to like survive this, but I think they're still going strong.
Yeah, because I feel like in Brighton now there's just like there's been a lot of restaurants been popping up now. Because I obviously moved out of Brighton like just before pandemic, and even then I wasn't really living in Brighton as well. I was more living in Thailand. So just seeing like one thing that I've learned from Japan is I love food culture, I love restaurant culture, and I come back to Brighton and now there's like every cuisine under the sun. There's like cool restaurants. And I'm like, fuck yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.